Yo, what up? Happy late Saturday night. If you're like me and quarantine has worn you down, you know that all time is relative. And streaming is the only way that I can say hello to people without getting COVID and or people that already don't live in my building. So wherever you're watching from, please comment and say hello. It's the only way I feel alive inside. Also, I have rediscovered my love of bandanas, as you can see. I feel like my hair is looking pretty great. And I'm also shooting this on a 50 with the DSLR to get it a little bit more intimate. But if you don't like it, let me know. We're going to try some different things out. But yeah, today what we're going to talk about is I took some portraits a week and a half ago of an architecture firm. They needed some headshots. And the light was really, really harsh. And so we're just going to kind of talk about angles that I used or like decisions I made to try to make the best of a kind of a weird situation. And so if you have any questions, like this is a good time to ask. But above all else, like I just want to say what's up and thanks for spending time with me. Shout out to Vincent. Shout out to Jared Spriggs. Thanks for making time. If you have any questions, say what's up during. But let's get some screen share on, right? Oh, I have to share my screen. Yikes. So that's my screen background. I took portraits of this architecture firm. They're called Low Tech. And if you know my work, you know that I took some photos for them recently of their the home made out of steel that they made. If you don't remember, allow me to refresh your memory. Oh, that's just regular Instagram. But if you remember that house made out of shipping containers, they are the folks that made them. And so they're this really interesting architecture firm, and they work on a lot of things they work on a lot of they work on a lot of projects that are about conservation. And so after they reached out to me to work on this project, they hit me up about a couple of weeks ago or maybe a couple months ago to take headshots for them. So we had to get our COVID tests, and we had to pick a time where everyone was prepared. And so I actually chose a Saturday, and I believe this was about a week ago I photographed it. But this is the project that I did with them previously. So anyway, that's how that looks. And if for whatever reason you haven't seen this before, this is my Instagram. You should follow me. So, as you can see here, oh, excuse me. It's showing me the highlights. I got to turn that off, the highlight clipping, the shadow clipping. So what y'all just saw here is like weird red and this weird blue. That lets you know when there's no data. So shadow clipping is when it's so dark, there's no data. And highlight clipping is when it's so bright, there's no data. So what I did is I went up to the histogram up here, and I turned them off by tapping these. If you don't know what a histogram is, we can take a second and explain it. Essentially, a histogram is a graph of the values in the image. And so with each image, it changes. But let me just pick another image. You'll see that in here, there's a lot in the shadows over here. And you can tell that obviously because there's so much black in the image, but there's still a ton of highlights, which you can see here. The issue is there's not a ton of midtones, and to have an effective image that you want to edit, generally you want a little bit of everything. If it's too dark, so like, let me show you. Keep an eye on this histogram up here. If I get rid of my blacks, you see how the histogram's sliding, this guy up here? But if we go this way, you see if I just like overpower them, what happens? You just have to keep in mind, histogram I wouldn't really spend a ton of time on unless that's kind of your thing. Oh, hey, Carmen, what up? Let's see if Carmen wants to come on my stream. Vincent, I have a Clubhouse account, but I don't use it. I think Clubhouse is fine. I just personally am good. I don't mean anything bad by it. I just, but yeah, so essentially the way I took these photos is there's one large window in this office, and generally in New York, you have a construction where generally there's like a big window in the front, and then it's a really long thing. So there's not really windows along the way in most places. There's usually windows in the front and windows in the back, which can lead to a lot of tricky lighting, and also trying to figure out how you want to make sure that you show people in the best light. And so as you start to scroll through these, you can see that I ended up having to do all sorts of kind of funny things, but we went from these really kind of aggressively lit things to this much softer one. And I completely forgot I need to airdrop so you can see what I ended up doing. But the project was like, I was very focused on making sure I got the light nice and soft and accurate. So hold on. Make sure we get it in a good spot. While we're waiting, does anyone have any questions? Want to say hi or anything? But yeah, I'm just going to pull up this BTS, so bear with me 1 second. Going to airdrop to myself. Very high tech. Okay, I received 2 photos from myself. I know y'all are dying to see them. So this is what we ended up doing. The light was so strong. As you look through here, the light was so strong in these initial photos that we couldn't really get something that I think really accurately showed the person. And yeah, it's cool to do like, you know, badass, like really high contrast stuff. But generally people want their photos, especially their headshots, to let clients know like, yo, you know, we can do the following. And this is what we look like. We're professionals. And, you know, when you have things that are super overpowering, it can be kind of difficult to portray that. I still think the exposure of this is fine. But what we ended up doing was I brought a reflector along with me, placed it right along the line of sight of the subject, and then made a nice soft shadow for them. So the light was like worked really well with them, but it wasn't overpowering, if that makes sense. So anyway, let's get to it. That's just them standing. So as you can tell, the front of this, or what he's facing is the window. As I've tell you guys all the time, when you're taking portraits, you want to make sure as the photographer, your back is to the light for the most part. So that basically you want your subject facing the light. You want that light to be able to wrap around their face to accentuate like their great features. And so if you look at my guy right here, you see that we originally started with him facing the light and my back to it. Cast a little bit of shadow, but there were some like little hot zones here. It's doable, but you know, even this, although it's cool, it's really distracting. And so eventually, instead of trying to fight this light, like you see here, by fight it, I mean, these hot zones are just so distracting. The highlight clipping is on right here, so it shows you how stark and how bright it was. But as you go through, you're like, and so like here on, if we turn off the highlight clipping again, like I showed you how to do. So remember, we're back in the histogram up here. We're gonna just tap this. And now the highlight clipping is off. And you'll just see this is so bright, it's, you know, beyond repair. So something to keep in mind, although Lightroom is non-destructive, and if you shoot in RAW, you can do a lot of things. If I just slide this exposure slider like this, all the way dark, his hand's still super white. You see that? Basically what happens is if something is too bright, there's no detail in it. Oh, and real quick, obviously, on Lightroom, if you overpower something, you just double tap and it'll go back to the original. And since the clippings are on, you can see these spots are too bright. There's no data there. To have no data in someone's cheek in a headshot, it's not a good look. So I should stop down, meaning I should increase my aperture or increase my shutter speed so that I get, or reduce the number that is my ISO so that I can make sure that I'm exposing this person properly, because this is not going to fly, right? Just a quick reminder, shutter speed is how how quickly the camera opens and the lens opens and closes. So generally, let me grab a little visual aid. Generally, y'all know a film camera, obviously. These are called SLRs, or single lens reflex cameras. So, sorry, I haven't opened this in a while. When you take a photo, oh, I forgot this Old Boys Jam. Let me get the other one. We're doing it live. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so remember for the single lens reflex, it's the Pentax K1000. When you take a photo, this little mirror pops up. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. You probably can't see that. Let me change the focus on this and you can see it better. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna have to like do some kind of fancy stuff here. Okay. So you see that mirror in there? Right? Okay, right. Watch the mirror. Ah! This mirror, this is such a, like, the mirroring of the videos confused me. Okay, ready? Look. See that mirror move? So single lens reflex cameras, the mirrors move. The shutter speed is how quickly that happens. So like on these old cameras, you can just turn this dial. Ooh. Yeah, okay, follow the camera. Good boy. And if you turn this, if we go, we're at a thousandth of a second. If we go all the way down to, let's say, a 15th, and we'll do it again. Remember, we're going to see how slow this is now. This is a 15th of a second. See how long that took? Basically, what the shutter speed does is it controls the motion. But remember, when you're taking a photo, you're balancing between shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. And so let me turn that off because it's annoying me. As you're balancing these things, three things out, you have to remember that, like, generally, you want to make sure that in headshot case, you're taking something with a low aperture number, something that has a really short, shallow depth of field. So we can get something like this where it's just him. You can see that there's things in the background, but it's not distracting. So upping the aperture here probably isn't ideal. The shutter speed, however, you can do whatever with because this person's sitting down and there's a lot of light. So it's just kind of about understanding what you want to get. Does that make sense? Questions? No questions? All right, we'll keep going. So, and then ISO is how sensitive your film is to light, or how sensitive the image is to light. So back when we were developing film with these, you choose the film sensitivity of the film and put it in, and you couldn't switch it. And so essentially, like the higher the number, the more sensitive it is to light, but also the grainier it is. You know, when you get an image, like think about sometimes you take photos at night, and you'll see like a photo that's like hella grainy. That's because in the increase in grain allows it to be able to perform a little bit better in low light situations. So here you have a lot of light, so you can push that ISO really, really low. You can push that shutter speed really high, but you just want to keep that aperture really as like a low number so you can get a good depth of field. I don't know why this always makes me so parched. It's almost like I'm talking or something. So obviously, if you look at this before when I didn't do anything, and then you can even tell when you look at this photo that you see how smooth and even his skin is here. That's what I'm looking for photo-wise. Here, it's not smooth and even. It's too hot in these areas, and the clipping is letting me know that. Any questions about highlight clipping? Any questions about what I'm talking about? Any feelings? Everyone doing okay? Who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl tomorrow? I mean, there's only really one right answer. So if you answer incorrectly, I'm going to have to kick you off my stream. But, you know, we don't have to get into all that right now. And for those that are curious, I'm listening to Black Beatles by Ray Shremmerd, and then I will be listening to Old Vampire Weekend for a bit to keep it going. But as always, if you have questions, drop them, and we're going to talk probably for about an hour or two. Just doing a little promo for the folks that aren't in here to get them in. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this through. So this is the background that I chose. I know it's a little busy, but my thought was that, it has the backdrop of so many projects they've worked on. And since they're architects, although you'd think it'd be really cool to shoot them in front of all their buildings, sometimes the size of a space can be overwhelming. And because of our time limits and because it was super cold and COVID, we didn't want to be going to a bunch of different places and potentially exposing other people, even though we had been tested. And so our goal was to find something that was like a nice homage to that. And so first we started indoors. We shot them in front of this stuff that they worked on. And then at the very end, we took some photos of them over in front of a shipping container that's an inspiration for them. So we're going to talk about posing a little bit today. We're going to talk about light. We're going to talk about doing something as simple as like finding a nice shadow for people. And then understanding, how we can go from this bad image to this one that has some interest, has directional light, etc. Like, yeah, even stopping this down, like what happens? Let me put this banner in. So, oh no, hey Jessica, wait, Vampire Weekend broke up? What? When? What happened? How come nobody told me? If y'all don't already, please subscribe to my YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can start making ad money. Not that people be watching my videos like that, but, I take the 30 cents. You feel me? Oh, wow, I really like this. Her leading into the light. Look at this beautiful detail here. Normally I ask people to brush their hair back because she said she really likes it that. She likes her hair down and forward, so you gotta listen to your subject. I'll give that a quick little rating, which you can see pop up here. Let me just show you again. Right? Anyway, so while I'm rating them, I'm just going to talk about what happened and kind of where my brain was. If you have any questions, let me know. Jessica, that's so wild. I saw them live in 2019. It's a bummer. If you like Vampire Weekend, what are some of your favorite songs? For me, number one has to be Obvious Bicycle on Modern Vampires of the City. And really, like that entire album, I think is really moving. It speaks a lot to me about a point in my life I was where I felt really alone. And I mean, we're all obviously alone, but I really appreciated how they started to take things seriously. I think before they kind of felt like yacht club, like rich boy music. So we chose this background like we discussed, right? And then we sat him down, and first and foremost, like his posture is bad here. He's lurching forward a little bit. You can see the wrinkles and like kind of how he just looks unhappy to be there. And I miss my focus if you pay really close attention. If you zoom in on him, I don't know why it's not letting me zoom in. I think we're just gonna restart Lightroom. It's acting up. It's being a little funny. We're gonna look at this while we restart. Let's try this for the second time. I appreciate y'all's patience. Okay. There we go. See, you can see I missed the focus. I actually focused right here on his hair and not his eyes. Sometimes it's really that just little bit they can get in the way without realizing it, you know? Oh, Jessica, yeah, it was wild. It was actually for an Adobe Max. It was really awesome. I love seeing them live. I forgot how much I love Vampire Weekend. Hey, Jessica, what are some of your favorite Vampire Weekend songs? Also, Jessica and everyone else, make sure you follow me everywhere you can on the internet. If you just search at Andre, Aundre, you should find me. And even if it's my last name too, it's easier, you know. Between that and I look like a Power Ranger, so missed this first one. Here, obviously I got him, but this isn't a select because look at how hot his ear is. See, it's so bright. And if you don't believe me, we're going to go back, return on our highlight clipping on histogram, and you can see no detail here. So no matter what we do going forward, we can never get any detail on his ear. So even if we have all these cool edits, right, still the same. Bring it all the way down, still bright in that one spot, you see? Like, essentially what's happening here is there's no data, so no matter what edit you do, nothing's going to change. Because this is all kind of like a weird math equation, remember? So using the highlight clipping is helpful here. But also you have to remember, sometimes you're not going to get the perfect photo. But this is specifically tricky for me because I know I took photos that I like. Oh, what's up, Craig? Craig, yes, I have some photos that are a little clipped in the highlights, but it was more to provide examples. But, you know, I don't need the shade from y'all. So keep going, like, just unbelievable. But even here, like, look at this difference. This is a soft focus. You know, that's fine, but you know, we look through and you can see it a lot better. Still not a photo that we really want to use because, you know, you can't use anything where my man's hand and face are unusable. This is better. It's a little moody. I'm not sure they want that. We can still use it. Here, I don't think helps at all. To miss this man's eyes is... I don't know if that translated. I'll do it again. I think I should brighten my light. These lights, actually. Just a little bright. Hold on, y'all. Shout out to my guy, Craig. Craig, how you doing today, buddy? Anything interesting going on over there? In the shy? Here, let's do this. Yeah, I think that looks a little better. What do y'all think? That look pretty? Just get a little bit of this fill. Great. I think that's a little better. Feel like got my PD light going. Jessica, how you doing? What have you been working on? So yeah, here I tried to avoid that hot spot by placing him all the way into shadow, but it just looks so drastic on his sweater. I didn't like it all that much, or his turtleneck. Here I took a step back. I don't think I switched lenses. I think I took one step back, but we can check if we go down to this info button on Lightroom. We can see that I shot this with an 85. And the one before was an 85. So yeah, I didn't take any steps back. But like I said, if you look, you'll see that I wanted to keep my shutter speed, keep my aperture low. So that means my shutter speed was going to be hella high just to make sure I could still get that depth of field that I wanted. Craig, do you develop your own film at your house, or you know, what goes on? It wouldn't surprise me if you did that. Like, this photo in theory is cool, but once again, we discussed this. It's too hot. And the reason why it's that hot is I was trying to expose for his face properly, and sometimes you miss. It's still, I think it's unflattering. He's kind of leaning forward a little too much. And so you'll see us later when we choose photos we really like, that we want things where, yep, look at this difference. Hold on. Like this versus something that's like, You remember that headshots, especially for business, are things that are translating your ability to work with people. And so you have to make sure that you are. This round I had Linus and his film love rocket for me. I don't know who Linus is, Craig, but I believe you. If you can't see these comments, y'all, I can place them on. I didn't think they were super helpful to start, but one second, y'all. Also, I have this like really strong urge to watch this old anime I loved as a kid called Gundam G, but it's not like really streaming anywhere, which is bumming me out. So here, let's look at the difference between. We had him sitting up here. Let's look at this difference. Right? Leaned over, sitting up. Sitting up. It's just like a different level. It feels more attentive, right? It's just like if you get anywhere for service and the person trying to serve you is sitting down the whole time, it makes you feel like you're not going to trust that they're taking it seriously. They should totally sit. Don't misunderstand. But the image of standing is valuable. Here, we tried a lot of different stuff. This is kind of a halfway point. I didn't want him sitting up like he was ready to Superman me or anything, but I just wanted to make sure that he could look comfortable here. So that he's sitting up, but he has his arm down. Got some laughs, but here, if you see that our big change is that the sun got stronger. So you look here, same photo as we progress. The sun got stronger, so it's starting to make bigger spots, and things are unflattering. And so left side condition here is as you're shooting in the morning, the sun is rising rapidly. The sun changes so much that I think every month we're getting like another 15 minutes of daylight right now. So something to keep in mind. Jessica, let me know when you listen to Jessica saying that she likes their first 3 albums, hasn't listened to Father of the Bride yet, but looked them up on Spotify. Yeah, I heard Father of the Bride live, and it was pretty good. But Modern Vampires of the City is means a lot. 1 second, y'all, I'm writing a promo. It's funny. I'm like streaming, and I'm also trying to tell other people that I'm streaming. It's kind of like a super meta thing. That's not to say I'm not really thankful for y'all being here. I'm always judged by these numbers, so I got to do a job. Got to do a good job letting people know I'm here. Craig, you like these folks? They make they're an architecture firm, so they do really interesting stuff. And let me just preempt the fact that this is going to act up by just turning this off for a second. Great. That should work out. And then I'm going to copy this. Great. All right. Let's get back to what we were doing. It's always super weird doing promos while you're doing work. I don't know. Another thing I've been digging right now is the new Kid Cudi album. That man hums like nobody's business. Here, I think, is a lovely photo. Let me turn the clipping off because I think it makes everything look worse than it is. This is fine. Sometimes it gets a little aggressive, you know? It's actually really like because I like this cut through, how clearly you can see his eye here. I think it's really beautiful. But you see, like what I'm saying about these hot zones, they're tricky. So you'll see, like I worked through these and just didn't feel great about it. Even brought it back here. There a bunch of spots I didn't love. Um, because of the strong light and then because of how the windows weren't like a crossing feature, it wasn't ideal. I think this looks cool, but this isn't a photo for Instagram. This is a headshot someone wanted to pay me for. Ooh, this I kind of like. A little lower. We have these nice like concurrent. Actually, these nice parallel lights, and then these angles down here. It feels a little bit of architecture. I tried to lean into it more, but here now we're getting a lot of distracting reds. That ain't it. The other thing is, since I'm shooting into the sun, I'm looking down at the back of my camera. I probably can't see how bright this is immediately because I got that really aggressive light coming through and hitting my backlit screen. Also, didn't love these. Had all the bad things about the light, none of the good parts. And since I talked to you a lot about how to establish depth in your photos, I had him too close to this wall, and so there wasn't enough separation. I'm pretty sure I shot this with a 50 or a 35. Let's see. Yep, according to this, I shot it with a 50 millimeter. And so what I mean by that is if we take this photo, right, he's really close, and then let's try a different one like this one. Because of his distance, there's an obvious depth that's created through the depth of field, like that low aperture, but also because it's like this is how you make depth. You see that? You know that something's in the foreground and the background because of the color and because of the distance between the subject and the camera. Does that make sense? I'll show you some more while I get under the sea a little bit. So my ear is itchy. Okay. Darn you, Beats, making me aware of myself. So. Watch, I'm already getting tired at like 11, like a lame-o. I think this is okay. It feels a little aggressive, but we did use a reflection of this E, and I thought it was kind of cool, the little shadow that was thrown. I think you can see it. Let me know if you can. You're probably wondering how you're a professional photographer. I promise you, as I was shooting, the light was changing so abruptly. If you check my settings, you'll see that they're not changing a lot up here. And I'm seeing this in Lightroom on the info, which you can find down here. The info, you're just seeing that like my settings aren't changing a lot, but the light is. So I'm just going through and trying to react to this like really aggressive changing light, which you get because of the clouds and harsh sun. Here, I think I just said bump it and made it really like stop down. Whew. Here, I think I just said bump it and stop down, meaning like I brought my aperture, I brought everything up super, super high. Well, I shouldn't have my aperture. I brought everything else up. I'm shooting at 8,000th of a second on the Mark IV and just kind of leaned into it being moody. And I really like this photo, but once again, I'm not sure it does exactly what they wanted me to do. So you're like, wow, we've gone through like at least 100 photos and these aren't really good. Well, newsflash. Hey, it's kind of like that a lot of the time. And no one told me who you're rooting for in the Super Bowl tomorrow. Oh no. I think my chat in Behance isn't working. Now it's working. All right, we'll get back to it. You see here, I was having a hard time as I was trying to go up and down stopwise. I was getting these moments that just blew them out. And by the time I got here, I just couldn't do it anymore. So we then busted out that reflector like I told you. And so essentially, if my light source is here above me like this, I just had it so that it was essentially casting a more even shadow across. Because, like, come on, are we trying to do this again anymore? No. That's a nice even shadow. And you can see where the reflector's not that big, so it ends up hitting her head here. So waiting for her to position. There we go. She's sitting forward a little bit. A little yawn. Everyone's warming up. And now you something that's nice. First thing I want to point out is you see here in her hands, like, there's more light than over here. That's obvious because the closer she is to the light, the more light will be on her. And so that's something to remember if you're in a studio ever. Like, sometimes the trick is just move the light closer or further away. You don't have to change any of the settings, like just like the intensity of the light and what you're doing with your camera. Just something as simple as closer or further away can help. This I like. I think she does a good job of just looking like a normal person, which is hard to do. People get really funny when you take their photo. Funny, weird. Not like Jim Carrey funny, like they got a little funny money. See, this is nice. She's not leaning into her hands too much here. Her elbow's making a good angle. I did make a mistake here and I cut off her elbow. So let's see if I fix that further. She wanted to seem relaxed. That was like a big important thing for her. And so as we're working through, I tried to not overwhelm her. But this slouch is bad. See, look at this difference. Came into my stream and I was like, you'd be like, what's this guy doing? Also, if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Twitter, please subscribe. Actually, Twitch, please subscribe and share with the interwebs. But anyway, back to this. We're talking about how to handle harsh light indoors, and these were the result of a reflector, and albeit a small one, because you can see how it's getting a little splash of light on her hair. This I like. It feels more hands-on. This I didn't like. Felt aggressive. I missed her a couple times here too. You can see, missed her face and got her hair. So I probably set for her face and she moved it a little, and I just didn't catch it all the way. But here you can see I wanted to recreate his photo and just make it better. And so now we're holding it smooth. Very worst, we get a little bit of lightness here, but I think it actually looks kind of nice. It looks distinguished, you know? I'm just slouching out a proof point. I don't care about anything. Wait. Oh, I forgot to show you. I'm wearing this sweet Batman shirt. I don't know if it's every Batman ever, but it's a lot of them. Regular Batman. I think Batman at Pride over here. Mummy Batman. I don't really know what happened to that. It's Robin. Baby Kid Batman. Batman the Caveman. Scuba Batman. Very important Batman. Some sort of Batman in a pink suit. Oh, Batman in a kilt. And a bunch of other ones I don't understand. But in case y'all didn't know, DC runs deep on this stream. You got a problem with that? I don't know. I don't really care how much. Oh, Jessica, that's really cool. Can we see some of what you've been illustrating or what you've been working on? And I just want you all to know, once again, when you shoot with a really shallow aperture, it's really easy to miss. So you hear I missed his whole face and got his ears. Because remember, when your shutter speed is, when your aperture is that shallow, like something as subtle as like moving forward can make you miss it. So just make sure you're always preparing yourself for that. Oh, the smirk looks nice on him. I really like this. See? Even a slouch, but since it's not straight on, like we're looking at this headshot, it's at this angle, it feels thoughtful. And he feels at rest, which I think is important for a good headshot. See, now we're going from the slouch to sitting up. Even that still feels professional. This I like, but because his hands are like kind of grabbing at the baseboards, it feels not all together. Here's a great one. Shooting a daw. Started, Mr. Face, went straight for earrings. Y'all know me, big earring connoisseur. Here we go. Yep. See? And you can spot to take good portrait too, you know? I don't like doing the rest, you can't. Yo, what I really want to do, y'all, after I stream is I really want to watch Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. That's really a movie I really, really love. And I kind of want to listen to it right now if we're keeping it real. Uh-oh. Shuffle just played Slow Jams by Twista, Kanye, and Jamie Foxx. So somebody's making a baby somewhere. It's not me. I'm clearly alone, making no babies. And if you're wondering, like, oh, these are a little dark, I always like to stop down a little bit when I shoot because it gives me more detail to work back from. If you don't believe me, we can go back to edit and we can turn on our shadow clipping. And you'll see we have a little bit of it, but nothing so much that we can't come back from. If you're new to the stream, shadow clipping lets you know if you have something that's too dark, so dark there's no data. And highlight clipping lets you know if you have something bright, so bright you have no data. Here, that's not the case because I have her in like in the shadow of a diffuser. But for some of the earlier photos, which we didn't even have to go that far. Some of the earlier photos, if we turn it back on, you'll see that the highlight clipping is screaming at me, letting me know that these spots are too bright and there's no detail no matter what I do. Jessica, it's a great movie, right? It's just like, it's really self-contained. I love a good self-contained positive movie. I think Kat Dennings is cool, and I like really think Michael Cera is hilarious, and I do not know why. Like, I truly think he's like a weirdo. And if you're watching, feel free to comment because we out here cooking. I know a lot of y'all be out here asking all these Lightroom questions. You better come in here with them questions right now, you know what I'm saying? Back when I'm actually trying to show you, versus later I'm in the middle of doing something, you'd be like, I got some photos doing like 10 minutes. Can you? Or yes, if you got that. Oh, it looks like a tiny violin. I meant you got the. That looks like I'm doing sprinkling cheese, more like. See, something nice and calm. And like, I don't know what this is, but that's a quick little thing to pull out either on Lightroom with the adjustment brush or with Photoshop. And so, although you're sitting, you can try different things. And so she even, I had her lean a little or look off. I thought these were kind of lovely because they allowed me to photograph at a slightly different angle. So instead of straight on it at a slight angle, it's directly at like a 45-degree profile. If that makes sense. When you're photographing, it's important to ask your subjects, what are images where they feel like they've looked great in the past, and what are some things that they think they've looked poorly, how they looked poorly in the past. So Ada was just telling me, she wants to look graceful, but not, overly excited or overly sad. And that was something I really tried to work on here. So I think I did a poor job on this one, but here's a little better. This feels pensive in a good way. And this, if you see just a little soft pickup from, you have to smile, but like a smirk can go a long way, right? That's all the fellas would pick up the ladies at the malt shop in 1950. I don't even really know what a malt is, to be honest with you. And by this time, it was nice and soft. And so earlier we were looking at the shadow clipping. Look at this. This is a black sweater, but look at this detail we're seeing here. That's what happens when you get the exposure just right. Here he is, nice eyes. I think when he does open his teeth a little, it's non-committal, so it's like it's not a smirk. That's a Jim Halpert smirk though, but not like a. And so since you see his teeth a little bit like this, it feels like a half step, half measure. And as Ron Swanson said in Parks and Rec, you can't half-ass two things. You'd rather whole-ass one thing. Got it going, feeling good. Or even this. It feels dignified. And since he's one of the founders, it's important that his headshot lets someone know, hey, I'm the boss. I'm one of the bosses. It's funny, I practiced a lot, so by the time I got to him, I knew exactly what we wanted to do. I don't know if this one's the best one. Something about this doesn't scream like pay me money, but I don't know. Maybe if your client's like a popsicle company, could be good. So here you can see the sun change. We just had all this little blah on his face for a second. It's not a pimple, y'all. Remember the highlighting clipping is on. Whew, this light sucks. Sometimes you want to get that window light, but you are not ready for the smoke. How are y'all doing? I need more comments. Feed me comments. I'm not asking y'all to pay me money. Just let me know what you're up to, what you think. If you learned anything, if you have any questions, who you're rooting for in the Super Bowl, what are you listening to right now? It's fine. It just, this little like Rembrandt light triangle, it doesn't really interest me. So now we put that soft light back up in the same spot. Look at that. We went bam to bam. That's all it is. Remember, like as you're diffusing light, you're making it softer. You're spreading it out. It's essentially passing light through something that's opaque. right? And so it's a little less strong, but it's even. Like, look here, you can see that little Rembrandt triangle. You can see this hard shadow from the nose that kind of travels over. Here. Jeez. Here you see a little bit of the triangle, but everything's softer and easier to kind of figure out, find, and feel good about. Does that make sense? Kind of a funny mood in that I want y'all to talk to me, but at the same time, kind of enjoying my playlist right now. And I stubbed my toe, so. But y'all aren't here for that. You're here for the knowledge. And so, just in case you know what I mean when I say stopping down means you have a bunch of data, look at the histogram up here. You see how dark it is on this side? Let me just expose it a little bit. See how it's sliding? Because now all of a sudden we have midtones, we have all this detail. Stop down on a raw file. This was tricky. I tried to still use the diffuser, but I think it was overpowered by these windows. If I'm unsure how I feel about a headshot, I'll just look directly into the eyes of the subject and ask myself how it makes me feel. Y'all don't comment right now. Y'all trying to learn nothing. You ain't got no questions, any feelings. Oh my gosh, y'all. Anna Davis Court's watching. I have to be on better. I have to be on my best behavior. Just changing my song for a minute. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, and so even we're even worried about these bright zones. Let's turn the highlight clipping off. It looks fine. Because remember, at the end of the day, you're only really worried about things you're going to actively edit, which would be her face. If there's some hot zones in the back, whatever. Like this is great. My hot zones, I mean, like here there's still detail. So if I bring this exposure down, you see that her skin comes with it. But if I were to try, here, let me find a better photo. Okay, see how this area is super bright? Even if I bring this all the way down, it's still super bright. That's still white. There's just literally no data. There's no pixels. There's no nothing. Jessica, the thing that I love about that movie is there's just so many great one-liners. Yeah, Jessica, the light's really interesting in the background because essentially it's directional light from the sun, right? And as the sun is rising, and because the window is like all these kind of straight bars, it just cuts across differently as the day progressed. But yeah, thank you. I like this photo too. Or not this one exactly. Your eyes were slippy, but this one I really like. Those are tricky because I find that sometimes it's easier to just give them the ones that you think are best early than like if you have someone like kind of dwell on the images of yours that they like, you might end up in a situation where you're editing a ton of photos when you just want to be sending one or maybe 3 or 4. That makes sense. See, even old boy got into it. Look at him standing up, looking like a little Steve Jobs with it. He's taller than everyone. We still got a little bit of this like silver fox thing going on with the light, but I think is fine as long as we can see most of his face. That tack sharp is beautiful, though. Ooh. And so here, I guess I'm just looking for stuff that feels like the person. We found the light that we like. Now it's not as distracting. Now it's not pounding in his face. Now it's not clipping him. It's not doing anything crazy. Now we're just, let's find something we like and execute on it. And he was a little stiff, but sometimes with stiff dudes, you give him a little space. Like I take a step back and really let his eyes tell me something. I like this kind of steel look. He's blue steel look he's giving me. It's slightly off balance, but the unevenness makes it feels like he's trying to tell me something. That was great. I liked her portrait. And here, like I'm adjusting from having a really tall subject to a slightly shorter one. These are fun, even if they're not great. Perfect. It's a little warm, but it's still super fun. Uh-oh, Anna's here. Anna's here, but she is completely capable of illustrating herself, or excuse me, lighting herself. Anna, my question for you is why do I not have an amazing drawing of myself quite yet that I can share to the world? Done by you. Do I still have to Venmo you that money, or do we have some sort of grudge we need to kind of settle, or let me know. Oh, went the wrong way that. Okay, keep this going. Settled. Still haven't found anything. Oh, there we go. Stop down a little. Had her turn her head a little bit, chin down. So look at this difference. Like sometimes the elongated neck can be a lot. So when you bring your chin down, it can bring just a little bit of distinguishment to it. But you have to be careful. If it's a shorter person, you want to go ahead and get a little bit lower than them so that you're essentially not like if you have someone put their chin down and they're shorter than you, it's going to make them seem shorter. So you have to just get a little bit lower. So you can see the difference in here to here. I got a little lower. Better. Here I liked and had fun. I don't know, I just like my subjects feeling, just knowing that I take them seriously. Here we attempted to use the single diffuser for all of this, but it was only like a 3 or 4 inch. So we still got a little bit of light right here on Virginie's hair, but you do what you can. So, I'll wait a second for it to, for it to sharpen up. Oh, I forgot. I don't really like Contra, the last album from Vampire Weekend. I have the last of the second one. It feels like to play. I'm looking for good eye contact, ease. It's a group photo, so I'm trying to translate what their relationship is and how they exist together. Also, for everyone that's watching me after midnight on the East Coast, Michael Scott, when they leave Scranton for that episode with the online party, it's 2 kisses. One for me, one for Jan. I like this photo. I feel like this strength of the team together. So here, I like this. Like this. Love her face here. Love his face. But she just kind of lost it for a second, so doesn't work. Here, her face is okay. She seems uncomfortable with how she's biting down on her lip. Here, his eyes aren't all the way open, so he seems sleepy. And Adah's the only one that's ready. So it's one of those things where getting that group focus can be difficult. We have to make sure you have it because your job is to make sure that it translates how they work together as a team in this group shot. Because they're going to use it for their website, they're going to use it for their Instagram, they're going to use it for things that will directly impact, what other work they get as an architecture firm. Feels like playing a game of whack-a-mole. You see one you like, and then you realize someone's face is off. You go to another one, and who knows? Also, smile, y'all. Life is rough, but we're alive and things are happening, right? Oh, that's really bright on Otto's face. Oh, we might have gotten it. Okay. Always funny once one person starts laughing, it's like a group of yawners, right? Oh, okay. Like this. Chapstick. Like this. And if you're watching for the first time, all that red is letting me know where the highlights are so bright that there's no data there. It's not anything crazy. I didn't paint red into the image or anything like that. Now the sun's changing really aggressively. So you're seeing a lot of images that just don't work. They're in focus, they're set, but and the sun came down. Wait. Better, but not perfect. These are all blown out, I remember, because the sun came in so aggressively. So hold on. I just didn't notice for a minute. This is so embarrassing. They're so bright. I believe the term is overexposed. Let me know what y'all are listening to these days. Right now, it's Vampire Weekend for me. Also, I find these highlight clippings to be a little dramatic sometimes. I'm gonna turn these off. This thing is exhausting to me. Remember, you can turn them on and off over next to the histogram right here. So normally, if you're asking what would I normally do, I would scroll through these and I'd mark photos I liked and then edit them. But I want to go through the whole set so y'all can see like the light was changing so rapidly that I should have done a better job checking my light meter, and then also been paying attention enough to be able to move with what the light meter says. And sometimes it was hard. Like you start talking to a subject, the light would change really abruptly. You take 3 photos, look back, and you're like, that's my professional confused face. I don't hate this one. It can be better though. Here, I think she brought her neck up a little, and that was nice. Amazing how many times it takes. Oh, what's up, Mr. Nye? How you doing? What are you laughing at, dude? You laughing at my face, or you think I'm a bad photographer? Because that's the case. We scrapping. For it. Once again, bright as all hell. Mr. Nye, I appreciate the love. You got any work that you want me to stop and show the folks that are watching the stream? Always about like showing off work. Waiting for Jessica to drop her links too. But if anybody has anything they want to show off, we don't have to look at my photos the entire time. We can stop and look at your work and discuss what you want to work on, how you're feeling. But if I do that, you got to hit me with the retweet. Those are the rules. No need to be. If you're shy, no need to rush. All right, so we had a big change here. Sorry, y'all. I went to just make sure I was promoting the stream on Twitter, and apparently, the Bears are going to trade for Nick Foles. Or sorry, excuse me. The Bears are going to trade for Carson Wentz. I mean, this ain't no Woj bomb, but I'll drop some knowledge in here. So anyway, after we shot inside, it was cold. I think the technical term was cold as hell. And they wanted to get some outdoor portraits because, like I said, they are an architecture firm and they love graffiti. They like the idea of being together. And so it took a little bit to position them, but essentially kind of my strategy was obviously the taller people in the back, but making sure that there's like a level of kind of symmetry with how they are angularly, and it just like makes them feel like they have space to be themselves, but they are working as a unit. This was difficult because it was so cold, and so some folks wanted to wear jackets, some folks didn't. Here, just trying to make sure I get a good photo can be difficult because people don't realize what they do with their faces sometimes, you know? Right now, Anna's talking about how she's changed during the pandemic. That's a good question. If you're watching this stream, just in the chat, just respond like, "How have you changed during the pandemic?" I've gained weight and I haven't cut my hair, and every day feels like Groundhog's Day. But also at the same time, I've gotten to try a couple new things that I didn't know that I could do, or that I didn't know I was interested in, just like streaming. Um, and so, your move. How? What have you been up to during the pandemic? What are things that have changed for you? You know, positive, obviously, but you can say other things you want. Oh, whoa. Steph had 57. I keep meaning to retweet, but I'm just being super lazy. All right, let's actually get back to this work. So here I sent the photo I wanted, and then I moved back because the idea was on the opposite side the sun was starting to cast a shadow, and so here it hadn't gotten high enough to do anything but have indirect light here, and so getting them ready for a photo meant placing them, letting them know what to expect, and then having a timer so that the folks without jackets or who had their jackets open would know that they could close them after a period of time. Oh, closed eyes. Don't be alarmed. I changed my white balance a little bit. That doesn't really matter because I'm shooting in RAW, which is a digital negative. Essentially, you can change the tint of the light with no issue at any point. Now the sun got really bright. Funny because this sucks. I like this photo, but I didn't stop it down properly, so we gotta wait. There we go. Jesus. Right. Right. I can always tell if I like an image because I'll involuntarily smile. See here, they finally settled. We're getting a photo we like. Um, Once again, if you're watching, please comment. Let me know how you've changed during let me know how you've changed during quarantine. I think that's a pretty good question. Here I got so close that the focus on the people in the front was a little soft. Took a step back, got them how I wanted. Now we're off to our last spot. These photos don't matter. We got kicked out almost immediately. Lols. The profile. Obviously, we know it. Sometimes it's not always the most flattering. It's one of the only directions you can give someone who's not used to getting their photo taken that they're usually comfortable with. And also, if anyone has any Lightroom questions, I can answer those. Also, I can answer those rather gleefully. So if you look really close, you can see me as a reflection in this my guy's eye right here. That's my hand. That's my elbow, like this, taking a photo. I'm sure you needed a sound effect, but you know. I do love these profile ones where you kind of get near their chin, get a little lower. People tell you something about themselves and you get that close. Love it. This I love. It's soft. Her hair is kind of blown all over the place. It's like a life photo, you know? I think those are the best. Jessica and Anna, I mean, I don't know. Hair's probably cool. Drop some photos. I can share them on the stream for absolutely no reason. Well, I'm just hurt all of a sudden, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop streaming because I like it too much. My nose is a little itchy, so I'm doing this. And I tell y'all not to do straight on photos, and this even isn't straight on. If you look at it, her elbow's a little forward, and her shoulders, her right shoulder's forward, and her left shoulder's just a little back. It just gives you more dynamic range, like a more. It gives you easier depth to look at the person's face. Oh, I like this. A little below him, like I said, underneath someone's chin. Oh, Anna, you can cut James's hair. How's that going? Is anyone else cutting their hair right now? I am not going to be able to do it for me. Also, my mom really scared me recently. She said the chiropractor said if you crack your neck, it like makes your neck weaker and makes you shorter over time. And I'm like, yeah, I've been cracking my neck for a minute. That's not good. But I can't stop. It feels too good. Oh, Anna, did you see? I forgot. Anna, did you see my Batman shirt? Sorry, I know this has nothing to do with the stream, but I need to show her. Okay, so this is the shirt I got as a gift. There's like cool rainbow Batman. There's kilt Batman right there. There's Mummy Batman, probably from Scooby Doo. There's just regular Batman and a little Robin right there. And then like Batman the Strong Man and like Pride Batman and maybe Space Ghost Batman. I don't know what's going on over there. Then like mechanized face Batman. Some killers and some cool guys in this group. And as I mentioned before, we are Team DC out here. I know it's tough though to be Team DC because we have many bad movies. Mr. and I hope that you, excuse me, Aniani, Anani. Let me know if I'm saying it right. But I appreciate the love and you laughing at these super corny jokes. I am gonna do some little editing in a minute. Oh, my man looks scared. We went from like something pretty calm to like wow. Do it again. Wow. Hold on, let me show you zoomed in. Oh, I just think I'm gonna do a little GQ, and then all of a sudden I hit with a wow. Like somebody behind me pulled up and was like, "Hey, bro, you owe me some money." And this straight on is bad, like I told you. Something that's subtle here that's the difference. Okay, look at his eyes. They're directly on me. Makes sense, just like how you look at someone. Then looking away. It's not as good of a portrait. The way somehow he's positioned, you'd expect him to really engage with the photographer. And so when you're making decisions about photos that are really similar, like think about like how you might see this person in real life. Think about if you saw an architect in a high-powered meeting, how they might dress and they might act, like what that might mean. You know. I don't hate this. Oh, I don't hate this. Kind of my reaction to most things. Oh, I don't hate this. A little too close. The wind's really moving his hair, though, if you look at it. It's pretty amazing. It's Anani. Anani. Dude, can't be saying people's name wrong, incorrectly. As my name is Andre, and I've gotten the, excuse me, is there an Aundre in here or an Aundre? Sundry? I've gotten all sorts of weird things, and so I do not like saying people's names incorrectly. It's important to me. But here's a good one. Elongating the neck makes her feel a little more serious. Bringing it down, it's kind of a nice effect. Let's look at it again. Just something that's subtle. Because of the call, people are grimacing. The smile is nice here. This angle's poor. Because of the neck gaiter, it makes it look like her neck is like wild long, which it's not. And the last thing we want to do is make people look like they, not like themselves. All right, Anani, we got it, bro. Let's keep it going. Anyway, let me keep it going. Yeah, I like this actually. It's nice and low, but I'm too close to her. So I would think that I took a step back here. Yep. Got it. Just to make sure I could get both of her eyes in focus. At this point, it was so cold. We're getting water right off, wind right off the water. It was crazy. Dude, Anna, be easy. It's good to see you. And these are just fun little. Everyone's freezing. That wind off the water is killing us at this point. Our hands are kind of freaking out. These can be fun. Sometimes people use them to like, I don't know, share things, like show the humanity of their business. These aren't like obviously at the end. These aren't the ones that are winning any awards. They're just kind of like the fun ones that happen when they happen. If you're wondering the way the lights coming in, oh hey Jonelle, what's going on? Jessica, what's up? Jessica, you want me to make you a moderator since you've been so awesome and engaged? That way you can say what's up. Oh yeah, Mr. Unani. So it wasn't walking and shooting. It was, as I said, it was cold as all hell. The way that we shot this was we started in their studio in the Lower East Side. Then we walked down to an alley that was probably like 2 blocks away, Freeman's Alley, and then we drove over to Williamsburg and took the last set of images. We were all COVID tested, but essentially the reason why we're over here is, remember, this is the business that I don't know why it chose to split the screen, but I'll just go with it. Um, this is the business that hired me to take portraits, or excuse me, take photos of their home made out of shipping containers. Oh, and so if you look through these, like this is the same folks, and so it made sense for us to take some things near shipping containers, because we couldn't have access to this one because this was all the way in Hudson, and that would have been like a whole day just for some headshots, which might have been a little unnecessary. I like this. I think we got to a good spot. Good sense of distance here. It's I remember really making wanting to make space to get a little bit of this orange in there because I thought it placed well. It was a little bit of a callback to their business, and the fact that they worked on a home that was that rust color before. Unani, did I answer your question? Oh, Jessica. Oh, that's okay. Being a moderator doesn't really mean a whole lot. I'm not really saying a whole lot. I'm just kind of hanging out. I just figured if there's a way for me to say thank you, I really appreciate you always popping in and being positive. It puts me in like a really good mood. Um, because you let me know that you're in my corner, and hopefully in the stream you feel like you're learning stuff. It's funny the number of bad faces people can make without realizing it. And they're talking when you should be letting them shoot you. They're talking when they should just be getting photographed, or they feel awkward, or something blows in their face. You know, it's tricky. And feel free to ask Unani. Feel free to ask any questions, or I'm going to be streaming for at least another 35, maybe 45 minutes. So maybe an hour. Who knows? Here I got a little bit lower, make them seem a little bit more powerful and more together. And that's it. So now let's actually do what we wanted to do, which is get some edits going. So remember, we're in Lightroom. And so you can go up here to this filter by, click down on it, and you'll see there's a bunch of options. I can search by camera. Obviously, I only shot with one camera. Type, etc. But the first thing I want to do is filter by rated. So we're going to move out. We're going to find a rated things we like. Obviously, they're like very different, but I think that these setups are the ones we're going to like the most. So this time I want to show y'all, you can use profiles instead of presets. Profiles, it just kind of changes the values of the colors in the image, but it's not the same as a preset in that you can only change the intensity. So let me show you an example. I'm just going to go to portrait. You see how it's just a little bit softer? If we go to neutral, we can edit out of it. Portrait versus color. Look at this is color, which is darker. Portrait. And so instead of being super vivid or saturated, going to portrait. It's nice, it's gracious, it's interesting, but it's not overpowering. So the next thing I would do is I would actually bring my contrast down a little bit. Let's see what happens if we change our highlights. Yep, it's going to make her look just a little bit kind of aged, not a good way. So by that, let's show this again. I went to my highlight slider, and I'm doing all sorts of funny things with it. But if we look at the image, the highlights are going to be on her face, and then also these whites. So if I move it, you're seeing how too much is too bright, but if I bring it too low, it's going to make her face muddy and kind of lose your dynamic range. I'm also getting my shadows up a little bit because I just want to make this a little bit joyous. And then lastly, obviously it's white balance, but let's just warm it up a little bit. Next, next up, I'm going to go over to my orange, and I'm actually going to bring up the luminance a little bit. So you see how changing orange for me, in my opinion, is one of the few things in color mix, which is this guy down here, the color mixer. Let me show you. These three colors, orange, red, and yellow, are the ones that I think occur in the human skin and that you can see most easily in photographs. So if we go over to red, if you look, we just have a couple spots where she just looks a little red in her face. So let's just bring the red down. If we bring it down too much, see how she loses color in her lips? We don't want that. But if we look at her face, let's go back to our original. Let's bring it down a little bit. So now we went from this to this, something bright, something approachable, but lets you know what this person's all about, And then without doing anything too wild, let's see if we can warm up our highlights a little bit using our color grading tool. It's really subtle, but look at how her face changes. It gets a little bit warmer. Should go the other way in contrast and see what happens. Yeah, okay. Dehaze is always a tricky tool. Whenever there's dark light, I always will play with it a little bit. So I don't hate that. So let's hear before or after. Nice little pop. We're going to go texture instead of clarity here because I think clarity kind of messes with skin a little bit. Now we got a little too crunchy. But here, let's look at our before, our after. Nothing too crazy, just warmer, and I think like just a little bit more inviting. I actually might see if I can. Okay, nice and warm, feeling good, looking good. Keep it going. Like this. We're going to rate it 5. We're going to keep it going, but I like it. I think it feels nice. I might actually add a little film grain just to make it feel just a little gritty because that's kind of like their look. Let's try, see what we get. So a little bit. Let me know if I'm saying makes sense or if you want to slow down at all. I just thought I was going to start. All right. See you later. See you, Jessica. Joannelle, I'm a Nikon person. Excuse me, that's not true. Joannelle, I am a Canon person. Do you want me to show you some of my cameras and stuff, or do you have any specific questions? I can show you like lenses and cameras that I use. And now I'm just hunting for the photos I know I like. All right. One other cool thing we can do is we can hit Command C, copy. You saw that? We can hit Command V. You can see the difference in the image. Went from here to here. Now, this image has more light in it than the other one, so we're actually going to bring the exposure down a little because I think overall the values are letting me know it needs to be darkened. But I like this glow. A little gritty, a little interesting. And here I also really love this. Just pulling down a little bit on my curves. Just to show y'all how I'd get rid of this little guy zoomed in. We go over to our healing brush right here. This little Band-Aid, you know, when you got a boo-boo. So we just paint over the spot. There we go. You can use the bracket keys to make the selection area a little smaller. Wait a second. And if we don't like it, we can just hit delete. Try it again. It's back. All right. Just gonna go ahead and try just this. And same thing here again. Ooh. This isn't going perfectly, so I'm gonna actually try to source from the area. So let me zoom out. Oh, you know what's kind of causing it? This little bit of blue that's running through here too. So the fact that there's a really short window that I can source from is making it hard, but it's definitely not impossible. And we can do it in Photoshop, but we're talking about Lightroom today. Now wait, as it sources. See, that actually should work fine. I think sometimes when it's zoomed in, it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, it's not perfect. But if we zoom out, let's do our before and our after. It's gone. That's it. Thing to remember is every time you photograph somebody, everyone's a little different skin-wise, and sometimes like the pace you have for one person will work for someone else. That I like. Wow, yeah. I think this one really kind of nails their look. Her hair looks good. The blue looks good. Everything's kind of where it should be. Dude, Anai, great to meet you. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at Andre and YouTube as well at Andre. Behance, all of them AUNDRE. Be easy. Appreciate you. Okay, Joanelle. So Joanelle's asking what camera body and lenses I use most often. Well, I can answer that twice. First, where are you? So these are the two cameras I use the most: the Canon EOS R6 and the Canon 5D Mark IV. They're two very different cameras. The R6 is a mirrorless camera. I use it when I'm shooting on set for TV shows and commercials because there's a sound guy recording and I'm shooting simultaneously to broadcast. Then I have my Canon Mark IV, which is my favorite camera. And so I love these guys. This is funny because I don't really like mirrorless cameras all that much, but I've come to appreciate the R6. You know? Put this back. Hold on, y'all. And then lens-wise for me, I'm a big fan of the 50 millimeter 1.4. It's one of my favorite. It's just my favorite lens. Like, I feel like it's how I see the world. And as you can see, it's tack sharp, and it gets exactly what I want. It gets that depth of field I want. And then some mix of like a 35, an 85, and a 70-200. If you want me to go into more detail, I'm also happy to. I don't think the gear makes a person. I think that you do the best you can with what you have. I've taken some of my favorite photos on my phone. Oh yeah, Jonah, are you a big fan of the 50 millimeter? I'm happy to talk more about it if you are too. The first 50 millimeter I had was that 1.8, but I hated it because if you remember the way it's set, the focus ring is right on the tip of it, so it was just always so hard to like touch it. I feel like it was just never sharp enough. Then the 1.4 was a huge change. I really love that 1.4, and I made the switch to the 1.2 last year. And if I looked back, I've been so grateful for it. I wonder if I tried the same thing on Ada. No. So I think I have to be tricky here. I want hers to look a little brighter. I think with folks who are a touch older, you want to make sure you don't overpower them. Make them look, I don't know, overwhelmed, unhappy. Did I even get his eyes here? Nope, missed. You could tell. I think I got it here, though. Yep. Then hit the paste, and you just see like a little soft edit come in. Like this. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Jonah, you have the 1.8 the 1.8 Canon. So it's just super funny because like I'm actually filming this on the 1.4 right now. That's what like this guy right now that I'm playing with. That's what's happening. And then the other 50 is what I used to shoot. That 1.8, I couldn't stop using it as quickly as I could. She said, I hate it when you miss the eye focus on a good shot. Yeah, it sucks, but like I really like as you get past the 1.8 that you can like really kind of turn your focus and it feels like you have it kind of firmly in your hands, you know? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna keep working on this edit and see what y'all think. They didn't know how to dress for the weather. Little Vampire Weekend. And sometimes we can even do some presets and have some fun, but I just wanted to kind of work through an edit from the top so I could see it. Here I love how serious it is, but the fact that you can catch light in this person's eyes, they feel really real. You know? Dude, love Vampire Weekend. You curse the sun when it's step to you, girl. The thing I think would actually look better is I go to presets and I'll go to these VSCO presets I bought forever ago. Well, actually, no. Let's look at how my presets look on this. I have a couple like test ones y'all haven't seen before. I just want to see how they work. Oh, interesting. Gray's a little too bright. They're all named after very specific memories or video game related things, so everyone disregard. Ooh. Okay. If you were curious about presets, I'll have a video soon that explains. I did a stream about it, but I'll have a video explaining exactly how I want, how I think y'all should do them. But yeah, sometimes if I'm not sure, I'll just kind of roll through some different presets just to like these are some that I've made, just to kind of get an idea of like other things that I could be doing here. Like I like this pink, but I think the contrast is too heavy. By pink, I mean how his face color has changed a little. But you have to remember that when you're choosing these, you have to pick things that are flattering for multiple people since it's a series of headshots. So we really liked how blue-gray looked. At least I thought so. Here it is. Yeah, I thought that this is a little bluer than what I did, and I like the depth and the color. Here I might actually see if I can bring up the shadow a little. So in the back, there's still dynamic range, but it's a little bit less dark. So here's a test. Let's try it in Ada and see how we feel. Yeah, I don't hate this. So we're going to go with it. Shout out to Summer Murdoch's edit. A little too dark. I'm going to have to work back through that one, but got some stuff we can try. Oh, these were all way too aggressive. Yeah, I think this opens up a little bit. I think the saturation is nice. I think it works well with the black that they're wearing. So that's what we're going to go with. Might be a little unforgiving here, so I might want to bring down, might be some texture. Let's see. Yep, a little bit of clarity needs to come down a little bit. But besides that, we're good. Yo, and if you up watching me, I really mess with you. We're just out here doing our thing. Now the shins are on. Life is good. We're rolling along. I'm just working through, making some little adjustments for each one. I never believe in just like finding a preset you like and then dumping it all and calling it a day. Nah, it's a little deeper than that. He might be a little pink, but I worry if I take the color out, he won't look like himself. But yeah, I think this is nice here. It really focuses on the blacks and makes it feel like something they would make. So I just even bring down that highlight a little bit really impacts the side of his face. It's too dark. So split the difference when you're in a good spot. Joanelle says, I haven't used Lightroom for editing. I only use Camera Raw. Lightroom feels very complicated in comparison, so it's nice to see you working with it. Joanelle, if you want, we can stream together where you can ask me questions and I can just kind of go through an intro of Lightroom if that'll help you. I stream a certain amount anyway, so it's always nice to do it with somebody that has like actual questions and that I can be helpful to. Look at this difference between how her hair looks. It just brings out the reds a little bit more. This feels at ease. I like this. Our color contrast a little high. Where's our saturation at? Oh, it's actually lower than I thought it would be. It's at 0. I just want to bring it down a little because I think it was making her hair look a little red. Now, this is a good example, a little too bright, so we're going to bring our exposure down a little bit. Remember, exposure brings down all of your values equally. And so I want to bring it down a little bit, but now I just want to make sure that on the highlight side of her face, it's bright enough, but not overpowering. Oh, yeah, Joanelle, I like try to go in for, oh, what's up, man? Steven, I appreciate it. You got any questions right now? I'm going to be streaming for like another 15 minutes, maybe 20, something like that. Let me know. I'm just trying to keep my energy up, so. Ugh. Sometimes once you get a variation of the preset that works for a certain person, you want to go ahead and make the edits for their photos there before you go on. And then before I finish, I'll make sure to kind of fix like this line right here, make sure everything is where it should be. And if you have things you want me to stream about, just DM me and say, hey, will you be streaming about this? Could you teach me? Joan also says, thanks for the stream off, by the way. What does that mean? Oh, stream offer. I was like, are we fighting on the stream? Duke it out. So once again, a little too dark for him. Each person's different. There we go. Works really well. Good color. Finding what we like here. It's all kind of a little trial and error, you know? Just trying to keep the energy up. Hope y'all are watching this like, yo, my man is wildin'. Nah, I'm just drinking some water, keeping it easy. I had some cake pops that my friend Alexa Schnorr made. If you need someone to bake you something for Valentine's Day for you to give your boo thing, your potential boo thing, let me know and I will link you. Steven, what's going on? Where are you watching from, my G? I see Jonelle was talking that mess, and I told her I told them I'd mess them up, and now they falling back. Also, any of the Brooklyn people, I appreciate y'all. I'm nervous, so it's about to go down tomorrow or something. Snow's about to be serious, so I'm checking the stream in now for my internet gets stuck out or something. Here with him, I just got to make sure it's not too contrast here. It's going to make him look a little older. It's going to over accentuate like wrinkles or whatever. Oh, Steven, for sure, man. If you have questions, feel free to come through. Also, I worry that this isn't like true to the color that I'm working on. It looks darker. Here, I'm going to actually look at it on my phone and see if it looks any different. Yeah, it looks a little green from this side, which is a bummer. Shout out to Born Warm. Thanks for watching. And I appreciate everybody for making space. Anyway, I'm going to get back to this. That was super weird watching that. But yeah, it's a little bit greener in what y'all are seeing than what it is on my screen. Jonelle, if you want to scrap, we can scrap. You know what I mean? I'll be coming up my stream talking that mess. Coboyos. Looks so unforgiving for her. I gotta find a better thing. There we go. Yes. Finding it. Joydell said I'm not a fighter, I'm a doodler. I'm dead. I'm dead. If you're watching and don't already, please consider following me on the interwebs. You can find me at AUNDRE on Instagram, Tumblr, excuse me, Instagram, YouTube, and Behance. Tumblr and Twitter are trifling, and I keep trying to get my app, but other people have it. So here, as I'm editing through, I'm realizing that this one, the light is a little bit more directional since she's turned away from it. So I can't have the contrast be as high or it's going to completely knock out her eyes, you know? I wonder what happens if I bring the shadow down. Actually, will it look more natural? Bilal, I'm editing on Lightroom right now, the cloud-based Lightroom. It escaped many times. My bad, y'all. Bilal, we already talked about how I was shooting. So essentially, I was taking photos and taking portraits with an architecture firm, and so we tried to utilize their one large window, but it ended up overpowering a lot of things. And so, we talked about a little bit of posturing. And then we talked about, how to use this light in our favor by diffusing it with a reflector. Whew. Bilal says I'm an architect and do 3D design after render villa. The contract is too much. How can I control it? I don't know what that means, Bilal, but if you want to ask me again, I'm happy to answer the question. I got gills like a fish. All right. So here with these, since it has such a strong black value, I just want to make sure it doesn't overwhelm anything. So if it is, this is one of the few times that I'll be really intense with my use of the exposure slider, because if not, it will overpower the image and it'll be hard to see what our entire purpose was in the first place. I think it might derail us. I'm at the P soon. Can't put up like a be back in a minute sign. That'd be weird. So if you look at the negative, I think really it lets you set at negative 31. And by negative 31, I mean, if you guys look at this value right here, I think it starts at like, let's put it at negative 36, right? And as I'm sliding it, you're seeing that you're getting more detail without overpowering their skin still. I'm still seeing the texture on their skin and that tint of pink that exists. And so it's just something to keep in mind. Like, you can still use exposure. You just got to make sure it's not to the point where you're like absolutely abusing someone's skin or just, overall subject matter. Anyway. Okay, so then here's our before and after. Yeah, it's still a little bright. There we go. Joanne says reflectors are the truth. I stand by that. Without reflectors, I don't even know where we'd be right now. They can reflect silver, they can reflect gold, and they can diffuse light. I truthfully don't know who it is that's reflecting gold. Gold looks literally awful on everything, but to each their own. Like I said, remember, each edit of every person is different. So I think, so I'm actually adding color to her skin here using color mix because I think that this is making her just look a little bit not like herself. So we're just trying a couple things to make sure she looks like herself. If that makes sense. Those couple things are using the color mix to just alter the tint of the orange a little. If you look at the difference in her skin tone, I look a little bit more like her. And had her still looking olive skin, very obvious. Steven says, is your choice to bring reflectors so not a strobe or a softbox? This wasn't really a situation that was good for a strobe or a softbox because we were in a tight space and they really wanted it to feel like not super stressful. I think sometimes some folks get more stressed out when they see big equipment, and so a reflector can feel more accessible and like less intense because essentially like a giant saucer almost that just plays with light. Does that make sense? And I'm happy to explain more if you'd like. Joanne says, I got to use a reflector. Had a gold silver mix in college. I loved it, but haven't seen one since. Joanne, I have one right now. You can just have it. I just personally find the color to be like insane. Like, why would anyone choose that level of chaos? And before you ask, after this, I will be using geometry to straighten everything out. I'm just trying to find a good edit that I like and go from there. So We should throw on Indeed, Jonelle. I'm telling you, once you switch off that 50 millimeter to one that you can not focus the very tip of, it'll make you very happy. I don't know about this one. I guess I'm gonna have to call it a break. Like, I'm out here struggling and yawning like a crazy person, but listen, I'm gonna finish this. Bleed out. No, I'm just playing with contrast to try to make sure that we're getting enough dynamic range but not overwhelming the image. It's kind of a tricky kind of halfway point to kind of walk on. I don't hate this. Just to show off what geometry can do. Instead of me doing all this work, let's just hit auto. See what it does. Ooh. And then all we got to do is turn on my constraint crop. And we went from ooh to wow. Which I do not hate. Excuse me, all. I guess my body just isn't agreeing with me for some reason. I'm like having this thing where I'll like burp sometimes and then it's like I threw up more. I don't know. This I like. Gives you the impression of them as a unit, like we talked about. Go back to the auto and just see it should. Yep. For those that are curious, geometry is this tool over here. It lets you kind of play with distortion. It lets you pivot what the vertical axis is like and what the horizontal axis is like. And so, like, if you look at this, this is a good example of it pivoting the horizontal axis. I brought this left side up a little bit. Ooh, I like this. So I was going to say, this is a more serious photo. I'm going to brighten it up a little bit because before, I think the edit feels more familiar on purpose. A little bit greener, a little bit more earth tones, which, I mean, more water tones. And so just making sure that, you know, we switch to one that's a little bit more the queen, the neck's elongated, it's serious, that you soften it up. Because if you keep it with that casual cut or casual edit, it looks a little weird. Also, I got a big head, but shooting like this makes it seem hella big. Kind of like, actually. I tell you not to do anything straight on, and then somehow you find one that you like. So life is funny. If you have any specific questions, please let me know. In that stage, I'm kind of like rambling a little bit. Here, I'm just gonna give this to them because I think it's fun. Oh, camera cut out again. Yikes! Sorry, y'all. He's supposed to be drinking water. Nothing crazy. How we doing, y'all? Everyone feeling okay? Jonelle, I'm telling you, get that 1.4. It will change your life. You'll never look at that 1.8 the same again, meaning you will literally never use it. I'm actually going to bring up our contrast a little bit because I like the punch that we can get from old boy here. Yeah. Feeling good. I'm going too fast. Let me know, y'all. Those can be tricky to shoot partners, but I think here it's important. They have similar countenances. It feels even. Quiet, but I like it this way. Nice and peaceful. Basically, I'm just playing with the highlights here just to make sure that this and this have some detail, but they're not overpowered. And actually, let's bring our blacks down a little bit. That way our background can have like a nice framing to it. So we went from this. So a little bit more calm. Here, though, we have to be careful with what happens with texture and clarity because it can really impact the skin of someone that's a little bit older. I'm going to add some extra detail, which they may not want. So that's most politely, I think I can say it. But anyway, keep it going. We're actually pretty close to done, y'all, because we edited the hardest part, which is the inside with the harsh light. Once again, we'll go down to geometry, but this time I'm going to show you how I do it. Oh, So here we know it's not straight, which can be said about many things, and but it's all about kind of figuring it out. So upright, if you go to auto, it'll just kind of fix it for you. Then you have these guys over here, guided upright, where you can say, okay, this line is straight, and then the line of this crown molding is also straight. Then it's going to move everything to be in line with that. So that's another way you can do it instead of hitting auto. If you want me to do it again, you just go over here, hit guided, I think, what's it called? Hold on. Guided upright. So I'm gonna click on it. I know that this is a real line. It's based on part of the building. We're gonna line it up. Then we're gonna do a second line that goes off the crown molding, which in theory, these should be 90 degrees from each other. And then now we have our image. That's it. Versus, hold on, let me get to the photo I want to get to. So here we're outdoors. I really do love just the regular Visco Portra 160 preset. I think it handles the greens well, and I think it'll work really well here. Oh, maybe I don't have it. Wow, that's a red from that Kodak. That's actually kind of interesting, but too red, too aggressive. I guess it's not here, so we'll just go up to, oh, interesting. Fuji color is also really nice. That's makes them look old, but kind of like in a sweet indie film way. Yeah, sometimes I think it can be kind of cool to look through how these presets are different. Remember, as you're moving presets, you can see the changes that are happening over in the edit panel because it's moving the sliders for you. That's all a preset is. It's like a pre-saved edit. This I like, actually. We'll go with Superior. That's not what I was expecting. Superior brightened it up. It softened that green. So now we're going to just, if you look at the top, oh God, whoo, that's a quick mistake. Look at the top of his head. Look at how as I change this black, how all of a sudden those little strands respond, right? We'll bring our saturation down a little. We'll do a little texture. Texture is a little bit better on the human skin than clarity, but we'll still do a little bit of clarity. I'm still not really sure what dehaze does, if we're being honest. Here's our before and our after. Actually, I don't hate this. I think the green is less overpowering, and you can appreciate the texture in the shipping container this way. Happy accident. If you ever want to tone down the green like I'm toning it down right now, you can hit green, this green right here. And you can change the luminance of the green. So it's like hella bright or hella dark. That's all that is. Little Lightroom magic. Does anyone have any more questions? I'm probably going to bounce real soon because I have to pee. But this has been fun as usual. But here you see how it's a little too blue, a little too dark for her. So got to bring our exposure up. And we're going to go ahead and change our temperature to be a little bit warmer. Now it feels right. Person is different. So when you are using presets, make sure that you're not just forcing an edit on someone that it's not for them. right? Just kind of work along with it slowly. This is kind of a good place to stop. So I'll let y'all soon, okay? Till next time, if you like what you've seen today, you can follow me on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Behance at AUNDRE. That's at AUNDRE. On Twitter, it's at AUNDRE, LARROW. I really appreciate you spending time with me. Happy Black History Month, everyone. And spend some time giving flowers to Black artists and Black people that have really influenced you. I think that's really important this month, especially, but also year round. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to say bye. Bye, Joanelle. Bye, everybody.